Hi, I'm Dr. Sean Bradford. I'm here at the Temple of Heaven in Beijing, China, to talk a little bit about Confucianism and its influence on Sinmoo. The name Confucianism comes from Confucius, who was a Ruist who was born in 1551 BC in China. And what a Ruist was someone who was knowledgeable about the rituals and ceremonies of the ancients. This was someone who knew the hierarchy, who knew the specific things that needed to be done to follow certain protocols. And Confucianism influenced government most directly throughout China and how the government was supposed to be organized and how it was supposed to be run, but it really influenced all social strata and all aspects of life in China and a lot of parts of Asia. Now, Neo-Confucianism was developed during the Song and Ming dynasty in China, and Neo-Confucianism took concepts from Buddhism and Taoism, especially the cosmology, and it shunned a lot of the information from those systems, but it incorporated some of them as well. It incorporated the concept of yin and yang and five-element theory, and it took this cosmology and it rationalized it and incorporated ethics around it. So this gave reason to all the things that existed in the universe, and it gave reason to all the relationships. And Neo-Confucianism really took hold in Korea, and it was how the government was organized and how the government was structured, especially when it came to hierarchy and seniority of officials, of relationships between people, and how they were supposed to be, how the world was supposed to be organized in a very personal way. So Confucianism really deals with kind of that structure, the organization, the ritual. And in martial arts, this plays out in practice. It plays out in practice, and it plays out in the discipline of practice and the consistency of the ritualization of practice. In Sinmoo, we also have the 9 rules, which is a major aspect that is very rigid, very strict. And to be able to follow that involves following these rituals and following this practice. Now, the other aspect that comes into play in martial arts is just the simple rank structure and the hierarchy, which is definitely Confucian influence, and how we're supposed to act with seniors, how we're supposed to act with instructors, how students and other students are supposed to interact with each other. And it gets really complicated, but at the same time, this is where it comes from. This is where kind of the history of this comes from. And it's very different from Western ideology. So, as far as Sinmoo, as far as the influence of Confucianism, it really is this kind of balance and harmony of how we interact with the universe in a very specific, organized, structured way. And that's really kind of the main influence. There's a lot of other little aspects we can talk about at another time, but I wanted to give some information while I was here in Beijing, again at the Temple of Heaven. And thank you again for tuning in.